Hi there, and welcome to the Curious Collective podcast, conversations designed for the conscious community to bring awareness to those holistic practices that are out there to help you live your best life. So tap into the knowledge and wisdom of our guests to heal, transform, and live as your true soulful self. Hi there, listeners, and welcome. Today we have the amazing Jamie, aka the Vitality King. So I actually haven't even really known Jamie that long, but I feel like I've known him a lifetime. I've met an energetic match. And so without further ado, Jamie, please introduce yourself to our listeners.
Well, I always like to say good now, because who knows what time of the day or the evening, and time doesn't really exist. All we have is the present moment.
Oh, yeah.
So getting goosebumps. So welcome. It's an honor, to be on your podcast and have another opportunity to connect with you, and then also have that energy and that information and wisdom from both of us flow out into your community to help people.
Thank you so much. And can you share with us, we met through the world of Healy, which we'll go into more throughout the call, but can you share with us what it is that you do and what makes your heart sing?
Okay. So that's evolved over the years. What really makes my heart sing is helping people. And when I mean helping people, what really makes my heart sing is really doing what I love to do, whatever my highest excitement is. And of course that changes. Though one of my highest excitements over at least 3 decades now is helping people. And that has been through initially personal training, like fitness training, groups and one-on-one. And then I moved into massage and energy healing, spiritual healing at the same time as massage. And then I moved into nutritional training, so I would be writing nutritional programs for people. That moved into body psychotherapy, and learning sort of psychotherapy and how it appears in the body. And so it's just been it's just been a continual evolution of myself and once, of course, because I think I was a bit of a hot mess many years ago. And so as I met my healer and started on my path and started learning all these new skills and having all these amazing breakthroughs and feeling better and better and better and better, I just went out and naturally shared it.
Yeah.
And I never had this goal or vision to be here where I am now, and the Vitality King and launching these other different things that I am. It's just been a progressive realization and evolution of myself. And I feel that a lot of us do that. We were talking sort of before. For me, it's like, if I do something and have an experience and I'm like, holy moly, that's amazing, then I want to go and share that with as many people as I can, and that's really all I've done, and I've looked for ways of doing that. Oh, well, I'll be a personal trainer because I transform myself, and one thing has led to another. So, I really, what do I love to do? It's my highest excitement, because then I'm feeling that flow. I'm feeling more of my soul's consciousness in my body. And then life takes on this, what I call flow state. It's just this beautiful dance with the field. And then I love to share. I love to connect with people, and the worst thing, because I've been through, and like many of us have, is a lot of pain in my life. And some of that, if not a lot of that, we don't even have to experience. If we comprehend how this realm functions energetically and frequency, and knowing that we don't go out there to manipulate or change anything, we go in here. So if we go internally and start to clear the distorted energies, emotions, and memories, we start to clear those from our physical body and our auric field, then that releases the disturbance and more of the truth of who we are, being our love, our pure consciousness, our original essence, our soul's essence. That flows through without the disturbance and into the field. So more of what we deeply desire and yearn for just begins to start to manifest. It won't all the time just show up, because we need to take part and take the action, but it'll start to appear. And that, for me, that's really my highest excitement, is helping people comprehend how this realm functions, and how they are the quantum solution, and and using certain tools, because certain tools are mind-blowingly powerful, and we'll get into more of that later, but sharing that with them, because once people comprehend how this realm functions, and I'm not saying I know exactly how it functions, but I've got a pretty good grasp on how it functions, And I've seen it in my talks. Like when I was living in Hong Kong and I was doing this Manifest Your Destiny talk, it was a once-a-month mastermind, bringing people in. You could see them. People started to cry. And even in America, I remember I had people weeping in the audience, because as I was explaining, they started to comprehend why they attracted this and why this was happening in their life. And that's part of the healing.
The realization, the awareness.
The realization that, as you know, that causes the shift. So, and I kind of got that many years ago. You know, maybe I'll wait until you ask me that question. But when I met my healer, like I was, what am I, 51 now, turning 52 next year. It was when I was 23. When I was 23, I met Eleni. And really early in the beginning, after a couple of powerful healings, which just blew my mind, I realized, and I said to Eleni, Eleni, if I continue to do this breath work with you and learn about the chakras, the auric field and the energy, if I keep doing this work, like sessions with you to keep clearing, does that mean I won't manifest that shit in my life? Or a lot less? And she's like, yes. So I got that light bulb moment really early when I started my healing journey, or I consciously started my healing journey. So that was another reason why it was like I just went for it, because one, I was feeling better and better and better, and I'm like, why would you stop doing what was advancing you, and you felt better and better? And the second part of that was, I've been through so much bullying in my younger years in primary school and high school, and then through management at Qantas, I got massively bullied and had a documented diary, was going to take them to the arbitration commission. Like, it was just one thing after the other. And when I had that realization that if I do the inner work, less of that crap's going to turn up out there, bang, I'm all in. And so that's
Sign me up.
I was like, I'm in, VIP member, that's it. Sign me up for life. And that's sort of how I got started, because, you know, after being what I went through as a young child, and then all the bullying, it was like I hated my childhood. I had certain aspects of what I liked, because I was really gifted as a goalkeeper with football, like soccer, and I trained my ass off since I was 8 years old. And that was one way that I loved that part of my life, but the rest of it, to me, was shit. And so I was looking for something. You know, and when Eleni came in and I started doing that healing work around 23, it was just like, oh, what? We've got chakras, we've got past lives. Are you kidding me? Like, I was completely to any of that stuff. I was so not there. And I would have projected my limitations onto that person. Oh, you're just some weirdo, or, you know, I would have shut them down straight away, where after having that personal experience, it opened me up to the potentials. And I've just stayed very curious since.
And I love that you just said that. Yes. So there's so much there that I can speak into, but the main things I'm going to pull out are,
go for it.
You just stayed so curious. Yes, people. So a lot of you can probably resonate with being through troubled times and manifesting stuff into your life that you particularly didn't like. However, you know, Jamie's just spoken into, he didn't stop. He looked for answers. He had seeds planted and he ran with that, and he listened to his, you know, higher self and did the inner work. So I love how you spoke into your evolution there, and I can see it as the chakras, actually. Like, you started with your physical body and your temple, so the root, and you loved your connection and relationships and built community, and then you went up and you know, took charge of your life up through the solar plexus. Like, I can see it the whole way up. This beautiful opening. So yeah, I love how you've shared that. And you spoke into the tools. Now, I know that you are all over your nutritional supplements and you look after your body so well, that being one of your tools. So you can definitely speak into that. But also, I'd love to really concentrate today speaking on that beautiful device there that's on your chest. So can you introduce us to the world of Jamie and Healy?
Okay. Wow. So much information. Everyone, you need to just really breathe and tune in, because, and we were talking about this before we started, it's like most of the communication today is non-verbal, and it always is. I think up to 96% of all communications, it's energy, it's frequency, it's non-verbal. So yes, what Katie and I say or speak still holds a resonance. It's a frequency from your vocal cords, which are an instrument, like your ear is an instrument. So what we say is very important, but it's the energy. It's how we feel when we communicate. and how you feel as you receive that blessing. So, you know, it's always that, you know, that co-creation and experience. So, so much there. So just so I'm clear, because my story leading up to when Healy was introduced to me was quite profound, but quite long. So what sort of segment would you like?
I know that you use Healy quite regularly now, so maybe you could share with us how it actually found you and how you felt when it came into your life.
All right, fantastic. So I really called it in, but to be honest with you, I really feel this was definitely destiny. I really do. When I was 21, I was growing cannabis for recreational, but what I was actually doing, I was tuning into the medicine and not consciously knowing about it, but I needed it. And so I used to cook with it. And so I've been in Healy now since November 2019. So it would have been around 2018, early 2019. It would have been mid 2018. I met this shaman who actually bought a Healy as well. She's a very dear friend of mine. And I had a lot of misalignments in my body. I was in a lot of pain. I had swelling, like about 0.5 centimeter of swelling all through my whole temple. And I was dosed up on the strongest cannabis oil I could get. I was rubbing it on, taking it internally, and taking the strongest painkillers from the doctor because my skeletal plates were jammed. My neck was out of place. Like I was a bit of a mess. Had a few car accidents and motorbike accidents over the years. And so upon meeting this shaman and having phenomenal, like she's like an osteopath as well, but I'm talking
awesome.
old school osteopathy, what osteopathy really is about. And as she was like, you know, putting everything back into place, the idea of the fragrance kept coming in again and again and again. And I knew that was like my body was, opening up to receive the guidance. So I communicated this to her and she said, well, Jamie, you need to look into that because obviously spirit or your higher self is giving that to you again and again as your, you know, because your physical body is your transmitter receiver of frequencies.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay. So I started on this whole adventure and I'll keep this sort of short. So I was trusting the intuitive guidance because I'm creating a fragrance. And so cannabis is one of the ingredients. And as I was on this path of creating the ingredient list, the top, mid, and base note, I was following my intuition on where to go to research fragrances, all of this sort of stuff. And it's an amazing story. I moved to Mullumbimby because I met a distiller who looks like Merlin. He's got the hat. He's a young man. He's got the beard. And I'm just like, he's doing his thing. You know, when you meet someone and you just go, you fully embody what you're doing.
Yes.
That's him. His name's Jesse. Mind-blowing, makes all these amazing products, plant, natural medicine sort of products, skincare and things. I moved to Mullumbimby to live, co-share a house with him and a few others to really work on the fragrance. So I'm basically 38 pages into my business plan. It's like, man, I need like $200,000 to $300,000. Because the type of bottle, which I'm not going to say now, but the type of bottle I'm creating, it's like it's never been done before, you know. So it's like $200,000 to $300,000, and at that stage, I was living in the glamping tent on this beautiful deck with an outdoor shower. It was stunning.
Oh, nice.
And I would sit there and meditate 8 hours a day because I'd tune in and get the information on what I needed with the fragrance. And I'm like, how am I going? I've never manifested that type of money before. I've been like the broke spiritual healer for 30 years. They're serving and helping the community, but never really having any money. That's me.
So many of us do.
Yeah, that was me, but I've broken that. And then I remember sitting there and asking Spirit, I was like, please bring me an opportunity. Bring me an opportunity. I don't want an investor. I want to do it myself because it'll be far more inspirational for people. And then I thought, all the profits coming in from the fragrance, and I've got to pay someone else back all that money. And I just went, no, it didn't feel right to me.
Yeah.
So I said, I don't care if it's a briefcase full of gold or silver or cash or whatever it is. I don't care. Win lotto. I want to do this myself. Anyway, that following week, I kept having this guidance, go back to Sydney and support a friend of mine with the events that he was running. And I'm like, damn, that's a long drive for a 2-hour event. Anyway, I trusted that guidance. I go back to Sydney. I help him with his events. His events over 3 months expanded rapidly and I was the main speaker at the events. And so once again, I was listening to my guidance. I was following my intuitive guidance and what excited me.
Yeah.
And then bang, I got this random text message from someone I don't know, whose introductory text message was well worded. It wasn't like stinking of I'm going to sell you something at all, but I'm really intuitive and psychic. And so I knew he had a product, he had an offering behind that. But as soon as I looked at my phone, when the ping came in for the message, it was like 4 or 5 messages unread. You know how they're like in bold, you know, and it was on an iPhone 5S. And so I'm looking at it. I couldn't quite read it, but the energy of his message jumped out more than the others. So I looked at the message and I kind of got this mild goosebump. And I'm okay, well, I know that's confirmation. And I knew he wanted to sell me something. So I said, okay, send me some more information.
Yeah.
And then a bit of a chat happened. And then I already felt the excitement, but I didn't want to tell him that.
Yeah.
You know, I was like, damn, you got me.
Yeah.
So I said to him, where's the science? You know, and then he sent me a 6-minute video. And when I watched this 6-minute video, boom, I got goosebumps literally down my whole body. I felt this excitement build. And I was like, holy, if this thing can do what it says it can do, I was like, oh my God. Like, I just felt this like childlike excitement. You know, like a taco on an engine. It's like, like, and this was, once again, I just watched that video, felt this excitement. Now, at that time, I think this is important to share, I had bulging discs, L4, L5. I couldn't work. I was out of work for at least a year and a half because it was pretty severe. Sometimes I couldn't walk properly and it was just terrible. So I was on medical benefits with the government because I couldn't work. So I didn't have the money to purchase the device. But once again, I was focusing on my highest excitement, not caring about my external current reality.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy moly, this thing is incredible. I said, I want to have a go on this device. And anyway, it just so happened that the lady that was unofficially bringing it to Australia was in Sydney the next day.
Perfect.
I drove into the city, met her, I'm sitting there. Now, at that time, I was on Centrelink benefits, couldn't work, and I was living in the spare room of my parents' apartment within a retirement village, caring for my mum who had stages of dementia and my dad. And so he was full-time carer for her, still is, and I was living in helping both of them. So pretty intense situation to be in. So I'm sitting there having a demonstration. So I had the bracelet electrodes onto the Healy, and mind you, I'd been a healer for 30 years. So I've experienced some pretty wild things when it comes to leaving your body and energy and consciousness and visions and things. And I could feel instantly, things shifting in my body. Where I hold the tension in my body, I could feel the muscles relaxing. My voice felt like it was resonating and the energy coming down deeper. And I was like, wow, like I was very visceral experiences for myself. Anyway, that was all good. I walk outside and at Darling Harbour, so it's about 10 p.m. at night or maybe 9 p.m. at night. I'd already had dinner beforehand and all the colors, all the lights were so bright. I was like,
oh, awesome.
Popped. And I was like, energy. And I felt light, like there was no gravity. And I was starving hungry. And they were the classic symptoms of when I'd had a healing with my healer, Eleni. They're doing all the breath work, past life regressions, chakras, you name it, whatever I did. Every time I walked out, boom, I was on. I felt more connected to the trees. Colors and lights were bright because I was more open.
Yeah.
So I felt exactly the same one session on the Healy than I used to from a powerful spiritual healing from my healer. And I call Eleni the Oracle. You know, like the Oracle out of the Matrix? Well, it's Eleni. You go over there, she's smoking, she makes you a Greek coffee, you sit down, and then she mind-blowing stuff. So I'm like, what is in this thing? I just feel exactly the same as I've had a healing with Eleni from this little plastic thing. Yeah. And I've never used a device before because I am the device that channels the energy for the man or the woman or the child on the table, you know. So I was completely mind blown. And in that moment, I sat down and it's weird. It's like I felt like celebrating. And I'm like, what am I celebrating? So I got something to eat in a restaurant in Darling Harbour because I was so hungry. And I ordered a glass of wine and a vegetarian pizza. And I'm sitting there waiting for my food, having a glass of wine. And then that lady that did the session with me was wearing, I think, a red dress and was walking down past me outside. And she looked at me and I looked at her. It was like one of those like moments.
Matrix moments.
Yeah, it was a Matrix moment. Anyway, long story short, that was my intro to Healy. And I just, in that moment, I flicked the 6-minute video to some close friends of mine that were into this sort of stuff that I'd known for a while. And I just flicked them the video and said, oh my God, this thing's amazing. I said, I've got no money, but I'm getting one. and I just sent that message out to a lot of friends. And that's really how I got started with Healy. And that's really how the excitement and the momentum began.
I also had the no money when I wanted Healy, and the person that introduced it to me, I'm like, oh, I need this. I need to figure out a way to have this in my life. So yeah, I can definitely resonate with that. And being really excited, knowing nothing about it initially, but being so excited. So for those of you that haven't heard of Healy, Jamie, can you share with us what this little device actually does?
Okay. I'll be compliant as I can. Basically, what the Healy does, it works with its quantum sensor. So it's got this very unique sensor with other circuitry in the actual device. And that works via Bluetooth with the applications. The Healy and the applications are actually very intuitive. If you're running a program or vibrating frequencies and your body's had enough, it'll stop. Like, I know that's sort of maybe hard to comprehend for some people, but the Healy's reading your body and your energy field. And so if people aren't sure what that is, basically your soul's consciousness, from wherever it is it comes from, it flows in through your top of your head, your crown chakra, embeds itself into your pineal gland and activates your brain and nervous system with your energy. So just imagine a waterfall flowing in through the top of your head and then radiating out in all directions. Okay, so that is your information field, your aura.
Yeah.
And so the Healy's reading via the quantum sensor and the other gizmos in there, it's reading your physical body and your field for energy disturbances. So it doesn't like diagnose, treat, or cure. There's certain disclaimers in place there. But what it does, it finds where the imbalances are, the distortions, the lower frequencies that are holding on. And it's really those distorted frequencies that are trapped in the cells of your body and the suppressed emotions from past experiences that block the flow of your consciousness through the cell and into the field, creating your reality. So when we manifest disease in our body or a lack of ease in our life, it's because of these distortions. So what the Healy's really doing, it's picking up with, and I don't say this lightly, extreme accuracy, all of these distortions, whether it's in your body, organs, tissues, or in your aura. And then it recommends a series of different categories of programs of different, let's say, substances, crystals, plants, frequencies. It's just a whole array of different frequencies that you can then either vibrate from your phone and the Healy into your field. And you can do that remotely. You can do that to people overseas and in different cities.
Oh, yeah, that blew my mind initially. And now I'm like, yes.
Remote sessions. Or you can like wear it like I have, and I've got the coil, which is another device that plugs into the Healy, that I can run a microcurrent program. Even like Katie is now, you don't need the coil. You can still run a microcurrent program and have it go into your body and your field to create more harmony and balance. And the compliant phrase, the compliant phrase of bioenergetically balances your cell membrane voltage. So basically, where God intended your cells to be vibrating at for optimal health and vitality, the Healy's helping you go from where it's distorted and balancing it, bioenergetically balancing it up to its natural state, its natural God-given state. And see, I comprehend that not from this, but from all my years in nutrition, training, healing work, coaching. You know, I was taught maybe 28 years ago how to do remote healing. You know, so I'm not healing that man or woman or child. They are, but I was trained to be able to tune into their higher self, their spirit, ask for permission first of all, and then I was able to pull them out of their body, do the energy work on them, and sort of pop them back in. And I'd be hearing on the phone screaming, crying, all sorts of things, or I would do it when they were asleep in a different time zone, and they'd wake up and then they'd text me, and the whole experience. So whether it's me being the device, or you, Katie, or any of you listening, because we can all do this, whether you're trained or not,
we can
still,
yes,
you can still do it. You have repetitive thoughts, and then you pick up the phone, and that's that person you've had the thoughts from. So we're all telepathically communicating. We're just, some of us are more aware about our ability and potentials than others. So that's really what the Healy does. It scans with extreme precision, and then it recommends a series of programs for you to use, which you can use connected to the device, or it can be sitting next to your phone on the table. You can go and do the gardening whilst you're vibrating different energies into your field. And this thing, like, once again, I've never used a device before, ever, but this thing's blown my mind. And
you use it every day. What do you use this device for specifically for your health and vitality?
I was going to say everything. It depends on, the way I look at it, for me, it depends on what are my goals and outcomes, like what do I want to achieve personally myself, and then what's out of balance that I don't know that's out of balance.
Yeah.
Because that's the secret sauce. Because it's like, certain, and I'm not going to say their names for compliant reasons, but certain diseases that can have a terminal end to it, they're already manifesting for months and years beforehand, and you've got no idea it's there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So wouldn't it be a good idea that we can have something that can help us to cleanse and release any distortion before it actually manifests into something physical? You know what I mean? And I got that training from my healer, Eleni, the Oracle, many, many years ago. It was just like, geez, if I keep doing this, I'm going to prevent a whole lot of, and she's like, yeah. Now, personal story, my grandfather, so my dad's dad, a big Welsh man, he passed away from the big C. Okay, so we know what that is, the big C. And the doctors were negligent in their testing initially, so it spread. It went from prostate all through his whole body. So when he had a stroke and was in hospital, and they scanned him or did whatever scans on him, he was riddled with the big C. Yeah. So he was gone. And so I did a lot of energy healing with crystals. I had my dad and his brother, my uncle, holding the feet and the hands. We did a whole lot of healing on my grandfather. And when he passed, he was on no drugs whatsoever. So we had a clean transition. Yeah. We had a clean Passover. And he came back to me and my dad in a meditation at my healer's place, thanking us for what we did. So, yeah, he's amazing, amazing man. And so 6 weeks later, due to the pressure from my mother, my dad went and got tested. He had a 9 out of 10 aggressive C in the prostate. Now everyone's looking at me. Oh, my God, Jamie, you've got to go get tested. No, I knew 100%. There's no way I had that. I've already done 15 to 20 years of deep cathartic healing and nutrition and mindset and like I've done so much work on myself. I've broken the family patterns. Yes. And a lot of us that are the black sheep in the family, like we're the ones that we do that. We break the lineage that passed down from generation to generation. So I knew intuitively there was no way, but just to satisfy my mom and my sister, I went and got English, Jamie. I went and had the correct tests done. This is from a doctor who was one of my personal training clients. So we had a great rapport. And he's looked at my results and he sort of scoffed and laughed. He's like, he goes, you got a family history of that? I'm like, yeah. And he goes, it's impossible. Look at your readings are so low. So, and I already knew I didn't need the test. And
everyone can change it. Even if they say it's hereditary, you're going to get it. It's like, you don't just take that as an answer.
No,
like, get
because
curious,
they don't know.
try all the things.
Yeah, because they don't know. They're only taught what they're taught. They're not taught what like people like you and I are taught, which is more of the truth around the whole being functions.
And why not try and create the change and create the reality for your own body rather than just accepting what you're told?
That's right. So now we've got a device that actually works, that's backed by hardcore science. you know, and of course the typical industry shuns this sort of stuff because it actually works, you know. So, but the science that's there backs this up, and you look at the thousands of testimonies that we have. It's like,
it's amazing.
There's no denying.
I once read this book, and it's called The Resonance Effect, and it's by Carolyn McMacken, who's one of the scientists that does the work behind Healy, works with the German guy that brought Time Waver and Healy to us, and it is fantastic. She discovered how frequency works in the body to release trauma and all the things. And if you're curious, give it a read, and it will change your mind around resonance and how you can actually heal your body. And we both also listen to like Dr. Joe Dispenza and everyone that's working in this beautiful quantum healing space. And we can listen to all this stuff, and we can do all the meditations, and we can do all the work ourselves. But this beautiful device for me personally has been something that I've been able to have like a little healer in my own home, and been able to hook it up to not only myself, my children, my husband, my mum, everyone, to help us when we can't go and see that professional or, you know, have time necessarily to meditate in amongst all the doing of life. So I can just hook up to this and know I'm bringing beautiful optimization into my cells at that base level. And I'm so grateful. So grateful.
Absolutely.
So with your Healy, Jamie, you would have helped thousands of people just by sharing your excitement and love for it. Do you have any like really standout stories that you'd like to share of someone that's had a real transformation in their life through the use of this amazing device?
Wow, there's been so many. Well, I think first and foremost, myself.
Yeah.
You know, like before anyone else, it's like I wouldn't go out, because I've obviously shared Healy with a lot of people. Simply because of how I feel when I use it. But and not everyone has a mind-blowing experience the first time with this, because we're all at different stages in our life, you know. But for me, after 3 decades of healing work, is like I'm very sensitive to energies and like very in tune. You know, I channel and
all the things.
I do all that. I talk to other beings. So it was really powerful for me. You know, that first one was a complete standout for me because of what it said in the chakra analysis. It was exactly what was happening in my life, and it was mind blowing. That first experience for me, first and foremost, was huge. And since then, it's a matter of I've just used it so much. So in the first 3 to 4 months, and I still am. So we use past tense language. It's like I still am excited, just as excited, if not more now than the beginning, because of what I know now about the device and also about when you share it, what happens. So for me, it was like I remember it was like probably March 2020. I'd analyzed, like I'd sat with over 500 people. And so I remember the frenzy. It was like a frenzy where I took one of my best mates, who was the first human that bought one from me. Well, he didn't buy it from me, but you know what I mean. He bought one, and I was like, "Let's go on a road trip," you know. And he's like, "Yeah." And we just drove. I drove him all the way up to Noosa. He flew back, and then I drove all the way back down, and then I did it again months later. So 500 people. So you see a young woman who looks quite fragile, jittery, you know, like, and suffers anxiety,
nervous
and
system's
depression,
really unregulated.
And she sat next to me on the lounge with the ear clips in, connected to the device, and it ran the program. It's now changed its name due to compliance reasons, but it helped her with symptoms of anxiety. And I saw her completely shift. It was only a 20-minute program. Completely. I
love that program.
And I saw her, like, you know, towards the end of the afternoon, and then I looked at her, and just looking at her, completely different young woman. I'm like, how do you feel? She's like, she had no words. So that was just one. And she, like, I helped her with that. It's not like a story I was told. It's like I witnessed that. That was mind-blowing. And myself in different circumstances, you know, if we ever get triggered and you feel that real massive anger just come up, I've sat down and used Relax or another program, And I just laid down, and it chilled me out really quickly. Because, you know, if we stay in a heightened state of any sort of not so healthy emotion, the chemical releases, it really, the acidity in our body, it really damages the cells. So it's really important that we can use the Healy to shift our state pretty quickly, so we don't damage.
And just to regulate our beautiful nervous system, I know that if we are constantly blowing outside of that window of tolerance, it just gets smaller. Whereas we want to make it more expansive. So crazy stuff can happen to us around us, and we're like, oh, that just happened.
Yeah. In the beginning, for me personally, I think I'd rather talk about myself, because I've witnessed this myself. In the beginning, like, once again, personal trainer for many years, and I love training in the gym and getting that pump, and I love being healthy. So I was using the fitness programs, and my fitness wasn't up. My strength and muscle was up, and my health is through the roof, but my fitness was down. So I haven't really focused on cardiovascular fitness for a while.
Yeah.
And I noticed when I did 10 minutes on the rowing machine, warming up at 32 strokes per minute, I wouldn't normally be able to do 10 minutes. I got off there feeling energized and elevated. And I was like, holy, I could have done a lot more. And then I noticed in all of the sets of the weightlifting, I didn't fatigue at the end of the 15 reps or whatever it was. I had more energy and strength through the whole workout. And what I did notice was mentally switched on, focused, not walking around the gym. I was like in there, and I was on a mission. So I really noticed a lot myself when it came to that. And then the sleep was big. So I'm so high energy. A lot of the time in the past, I've had a challenge falling asleep, because I'm like, I would run it on. Before the coil came out, I started experimenting without being connected to the device. In the beginning, I wore the bracelet electrodes, would wear a T-shirt to bed, and I'd put the Healy up my shirt and clip it on, and I would bring the cables out my sleeve connected, and I would wear that and go to bed, and it helped. I would yawn within 1 minute.
Yeah.
And I went to sleep a lot faster, had a better sleep, and woke up feeling more refreshed. Then I started using it without the cables, and I would just put the Healy under my pillow or next to my pillow, same. It had a similar effect. So I noticed that. And then I started using what I'm running, or what we're both running at the moment, activation. It just helps with, like, this, for me personally, it was this frontal lobe sort of clarity. So again and again and again, I've just used it for different aspects for myself. I had this abscess tooth. Oh my God. It was it woke me up in the middle of the night. The pain was that intense. So I got the sticky pads out.
Tooth pain's the worst.
It is. And put it on the muscles here, which it says in the app. It illustrates where to put the sticky pads. And I ran the program that has a picture of a tooth with the lightning bolts. And 20-minute program, pain reduced by 70%.
Oh, so good.
Did it again, pain gone.
Oh, thank you.
Went to sleep.
Yeah.
Woke up the next morning, I was doing that.
Oh, wow. Pain. Yeah, that's amazing.
You know, mind-blowing. So they're just some of the main ones that I've used it for in the beginning, that really drove home how powerful this device really is.
There's a beautiful program on there that I'd love to talk about, and the inventor of it, Marcus, he has put it on there. It's called Coherence, and I run it quite a lot. Are you able to share with us what that program is?
Yeah, so I'm glad you asked, because that program is like my favorite of all the programs. That's my go-to. Anytime that I'm interviewed, or I've got a webinar that I'm training the leaders or anything, I always put Coherence on. Most of the time I just use it with the coil, like I just clip the Healy on, but that's brain and heart coherence. So you would know probably more on a technical level, because I don't really dive into the detail myself. That's just sort of not how I'm wired.
Me either.
But I know for me, once again, being really high energy, and a lot of us too, like a lot of your listeners that are listening in now, you know, we can have a really busy mind. And it's like, for me, before having an important telephone conversation or meeting someone for coffee that I really would like to have a deep conversation with, I'll use Coherence, because I feel my head's not in the way, and there feels like this greater clarity. So I feel my level of communication is far more clearer and coherent, pardon the pun. I'm able to answer questions clearer. I comprehend the question better. And so therefore I feel whoever's meeting with me, whether it's online or whatever, is getting a better version of myself because I'm able to communicate my thoughts and my feelings with greater clarity.
And I know you refer to it a lot, and I love it, is that flow state. So it enables you to be more coherent through heart and mind as well.
So just imagine in any experience, work, business meetings, you've got a project you need, you've got a deadline for, anything. And this is what I love about the Healy. It's like, you don't need to go and study to be a spiritual healer for 30 decades to be able to do this yourself. You don't need to go to one of my programs and pay a lot of money to learn for 6 months the basics of it. You just invest, you join out the community, so there's that whole academy where people can learn how to maximize their experience, and you can start doing it straight away. And this is another thing that excites me so much. It really changes, like, you got the personal development industry. This device flips all of that shit on its head. Because one reason why I pulled out of that industry is because it's an industry, and they're not uncovering the deeper causal causes of why we're experiencing the lack or whatever it is that's turning up in our life. Now, the retreats and courses I used to facilitate did, but I pulled away from that industry because I was just, and
it didn't align anymore.
Yeah, it didn't align with it. And it's like, a lot of people aren't actually diving down to the cause. They don't have this sort of spiritual connection, and that's okay. That's where they're at. It's completely okay, but it's not for me. I want to help someone shift like that. So now that instead of paying for courses for 6, 12 months or more, they make a one-off purchase, and they've got an epic community, and they're taking responsibility, and it's fun.
Oh, you've said two of my favorite things right there, which is community and responsibility. So I absolutely love the Healy community. Like, I am so in love with it. I just, at the beginning of this month, we had a conference, and there was amazing people in that room. I'm like, coaches, kinesiologists, chiropractors, osteos, like all my favorite people.
And to you, speaking on stage on day one, which I thought was fantastic. You did very, very well.
Thank you so much, Jamie. It was so fun. Like, for all of you that listen, know I love to teach, and I did get to teach around my favorite Healy program, which is the aura analysis and analysis and chakra scan. And that was just so good because it is probably my favorite function on the Healy, above all of them. But the room was filled with the most exciting people, and from that I've just met even more. So what happened when the inventors of this German-made technology brought it into everyone's homes, they've done it via a social selling model. And the reason they've done that is so that we can have it in communities like this, where we can all support each other, how best to use it, how to get the most out of it, and just live your best life.
Absolutely. This is not a product that could just be on the shelf at a chemist or at a doctor's surgery. Like, it wouldn't be in a doctor's surgery, but I'm really happy that Marcus decided to, share this amazing gift to the world the way he has. That social selling and that referring style marketing, and that business enables, like you said, more communication, more community. And after what we've all been through internationally the last couple of years, that's what we all need right now. It's when I say intimacy, it's into me I see, which is what one of my coaches, Jessica, shares.
Write that down.
Mind-blowing. So intimacy is into me I see. So when we connect with another being, it's not about sexual or it's intimacy is just sitting with someone and having a really beautiful energy exchange. And that's what we have with this community. We've got all these like-minded, amazing people coming together who all care about their own health and well-being and their families and others. So we come together and we share, and that's one of the biggest things that I love about this. Like, don't get me wrong, I love the product. It's incredible, but the community and connecting with people like this, like, we get to connect and communicate and share, pearls of wisdom and energy and information that gets to ripple out and help more people. And really, after what all of us have been through the last 2 years, is like, now's the time to really come together in a community and to help one another. You know what I mean? Help lift one another up.
100%.
So we can be living our dream life instead of getting slapped around by corporations.
I've inadvertently been sharing Healy since the moment I got mine. And I can tell you right now that the people I've shared Healy with that are in my life are like family.
Yeah.
You know, and because we all are helping to balance our body at the cellular level, and that creates a energetic match.
Yeah, absolutely. It was like you were saying before we started the recording that, you know, Marcus Schmicky, the quantum physicist and monk, he was like, spent 10 or 15 years or something in India, you know, like, so he's got that balance between spirituality and science. His intention is to help increase and awaken the consciousness of the world, like of every man, woman, and child. And I know as a healer, after what I've learned, when someone comes to me and they're laying on the massage table and I'm channeling energy, not even touching them, I'm just channeling energy, and you watch them shift and move and shake, and then they cry or they release or whatever happens, it's a gift. It's a gift to be a part of that process to help someone else shift out of where they're at. And when they get off the table and they give you a big hug, whether they're a man or woman, it doesn't matter. They give you a big hug and they look you in the eyes and say, thank you very much. That's payment for me. I don't want the money. It's not about the money. I don't care about the money.
It's beautiful energy exchange.
It's beautiful.
That's not even, nothing matches it.
But now you don't have to be a healer. You don't have to have spent, you know, over a couple of $1 million on your development over 30 years. We've got a device that can do that. And it's like, you'll see a movie or, you know, have a meal at a restaurant and open your mouth and tell your friends. And it's like, well, we've actually got something that's going to help transform their life. And I don't say that lightly. Like, I mean what I say, and I'm using my words very carefully. Yes, because I need to be compliant. But second of all, what we have is such a gift. Like, I don't do anything else but this. And I like to play golf and tennis and grow veggies, and I love my life. But it's like, all I do is this.
Because you're so passionate about it.
So passionate about it. It's made such an impact in my life in many, many ways.
Yeah. And
then what I've seen and what it's done for people, I'm like, my God, this is helping people more than what I can. I can't, like, I'm pretty psychic and intuitive, but I can't tune into someone and bang, 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 say.
To the subtle energy field of like how deep the aura scan goes.
I've never met one psychic or medical intuitive that comes close to this, like what it can do.
Yes. Yeah.
So, and I know for some people that might be hard to get your head around, but it's like,
you've got to see it to understand it.
Yeah, see it. And once again, it's trust how you feel when you listen to this.
Yeah.
Because remember, I'd never used the device before, but I was aware of the message and how I felt when I read that guy's message. And then when I watched that video, I was like, oh my God. So I just ran with that. I knew nothing about it. And I started sharing because of how I felt. And even though I knew nothing consciously about the device, obviously my spirit and my body was telling me, holy moly, this thing, you run with this. So I did.
We're totally going to drop the link to that video into the blurb of wherever we post this podcast as well. So if you're intrigued by anything Jamie and I are mentioning about this amazing device, please click on that and watch it for yourself. So for those that are out there that are interested in becoming the most vitalized version of themselves and in all areas, as you've spoken about through your own journey and your own evolution, whether that be through the nutritional or the energy healing, or even this beautiful device that we call the Healy, what advice would you have for them?
Do it.
Yes, just do it.
Nike. Like I text too many, I'll probably text you, I'll text Nike. Just do it. Because for me, it's like, when would now be a great time to transform your life? Or when would now be a great time to move in a better direction?
To choose yourself.
That's right. You know, like, once again, it's like, you know what I've been through the last couple of years of my life. It's been full on outside of Healy. So we need a community.
Yes.
And I desperately needed something like this to help balance my state, my body and mind the last couple of years.
Yeah.
To help smooth out the peaks and the troughs, the unhealthy peaks and troughs, and to keep me more in that flow state, which I do talk about a lot. So what would I say to them? I'd say, first of all, trust your intuition, trust your gut feel. If it's like, if you're like, holy, I just want one of these, do it, connect with Katie, just do it. And then you get plugged into our community. There's a full academy and it's just epic. It is. For those of you that trust however you feel, if you feel like you'd like a bit more science and information, then do that. I was already yes and in, so I just went for it. But at the same time, I'm an engineer. I'm a mechanical engineer with aircraft, with gas turbine engines and aircraft. So I have that part of me that likes science and structure.
Yeah.
But I'm also very spiritual and act in the moment. But I wanted both. So just reach out to Katie and ask for information, because this literally, it doesn't matter where you are or the type of man or woman that you are, this will make a massive impact in your life. Maybe not straight away, depending where you're at, but initially in the first couple of weeks, it will.
Yes.
It will. 100%.
And I talk to people like that, and I love what you just said, because it's about clearing the layers. If you've got layers and layers and layers upon layers of things that have experiences you've been through and environmental conditioning, then it's going to take a little bit more time, but it is working from the second you put it on. You just don't necessarily feel it straight away. So just run with it, trust it, allow it to work its magic for you. Yeah.
Absolutely. You know.
Yeah, we are so grateful that we have had you on this podcast, Jamie. Thank you so much for sharing all your knowledge and wisdom with us. I know that we could talk for hours and hours.
Maybe we do
more.
a part 2.
Yeah, I think we'll be back. We'll be back for a part 2, but thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me on and giving me this opportunity to share some energy, you know, and some experiences. Because really this thing, after everything I've done in my life, this thing has completely transformed my life in every way.
Yeah.
You know, and now I'm living a much more abundant life in a beautiful area, peaceful by the beach, growing food. Like, I feel like I'm not in that survival mode that a lot of us are in.
Yeah.
I've sort of stepped out of that, and now I feel more peace within me, and my interactions with people that I meet feel far more, like, far deeper and more fulfilling and enriching. So it's this really has helped me to become more of who I'm meant to be.
I love that.
You know what I mean? It's helped all of those layers and distortion, and that's the way we survive through our personality and, like, with the world based on what we've been through. It's helped to dissolve that. You know, and I feel more present with people. I feel more like Jamie, and I'm like, you know, and I just wish that for as many people as possible.
100%. Let's do it, everyone. And thank you, Jamie, for being you.
Thank you, Katie.
Bye.
See ya.